What we are watching right now in the world is not just another round of noise between America, Iran, Israel, and China, and in the middle somewhere, Pakistan. What we are watching right now is a shift in order, the world order, a real one, not the people usually talk about in academics, a real one. Not complete yet, not neat yet, not settled yet, but visible enough that only fools, propagandists, and people completely or emotionally attached to this old order still cannot see it. The old American order has not collapsed in a dramatic second, and it will not collapse in a dramatic second. Empires don't fall like that. They die slowly. Then suddenly everyone pretends they always knew it was happening. And right now, that is exactly the stage we are in. Iran did not fall, Israel did not get the neat outcome it wanted, America did not get the obedient region it expected, and Pakistan, whether its ruler deserves the credit or not, has ended up inside a position far bigger than the mindset of the people currently running Pakistan. Welcome to Fourth Floor Post English. Pakistan did not become relevant here because of some miraculous diplomatic gestures or geniuses sitting here, or they suddenly got discovered in Islamabad. No. Or Pindi for that sake. No. Pakistan became relevant because China's positioning, because Iran needed a channel it could tolerate, because America needed a window it could not openly admit it needed, and because the regional board has shifted in such a way that even a weak state can become strategically unavoidable if geography, timing, and alignments all collide at once. And that's exactly what happened with Pakistan. Pakistan did not create all these compulsions. Chinese compulsion with Iran, Chinese assertion on Pakistan, Iran's assurity or Iran's trust on Pakistan, that was created by China too, not by America. So Pakistan has found itself sitting at the center of that. And that is why I keep saying, stop selling Pakistan short. I'm not saying the system is brilliant. I'm saying the country's position is strong than the people managing it are willing to admit right now because of their own political weaknesses. And that is the tragedy, because if you have a big strategic opening, but a small, frightened, loan-addicted mindset, then you do not turn the opportunity into power, you turn it into another press conference about how somebody gave you $3 billion and now you're happy. How much Saudi used to spend on defense budget in America? Can anybody just go on and check? It was more than, it's somewhere around 600 to 700 billion dollars. And we are supposed to clap on what? $3 billion, that too in loan by Saudi Arabia. Look at the contrast. On one side, the world is being forced to acknowledge Pakistan as a part of a major mediation space, a serious regional connector, a state whose role cannot just be dismissed in the Middle East now. On the other side, half the country is still in blackouts. The economy is held together by the crumbs, and the ruling mentality remains embarrassingly small. That is the real contradiction in Pakistan right now. We are in a world stage, but domestically we still behave like a rented setup surviving on installments. The issue is not that Pakistan is weak. The issue is that people sitting on the top in this moment do not know how to extract from it. They know how to flatter. They know how to survive. They know how to turn every strategic opening into a personal relevance. But asking, demanding, negotiating like a state that understands its own weight, that is where mediocrity begins to show. And this is why the Iran matters altogether. Whether Islamabad Accords happen or whether Islamabad Accords do not happen, Iran is going to emerge as the next power center. And with long-term strategy with China, we already have long-term strategy with China. Are we going to comply? Are we going to comply with the new regional order? That will be Iran, or are we going to go to stuck with the Arabs for the oil and the petrodollar? And that's why I think Pakistan somewhat has managed to escape out of American trap. This not stepping into war, getting the Chinese route in the negotiations, and then finally the visit to Iran by army chief. See, people can argue optics all day, but I am looking at the signals. A field marshal, an army person, a head of the army, and world knows that head of the army is a de facto ruler in Pakistan. Not completely, but somewhat. He goes into a war zone context is not a routine courtesy call. It is a message. It is a message to Iran that Pakistan is serious and Pakistan can bring sense of security. It is a message to China that Pakistan understands the regional alignment and will stick to it in the long term, because it was not just political leader. It is a message to America that if a channel is to exist, it may have to pass through with the Pakistan, and whether Washington likes it or not. And it is a message to Israel too. You may want accidents, you may want realignment. Israel may want chaos, but Israel do not have the freedom Israel thought Israel had. That's what the signal was by just one field marshal in a uniform going there. And that's why I keep coming to back to the point that Pakistan is no longer just a venue in the story. It is becoming a positioned actor. The tragedy is that the leverage exists, but its use remains trapped inside personal compulsions, internal power preservations, and the old disease of flattery, khushamand in Urdu. See, now come to America. What does America want here? No victory in the old sense is going to come there. The story is over. The real American objective is now is much simpler and much more revealing. America wants a door into new Iran-centered reality, and that is all. All this drama around uranium, nukes, all this face-saving, delayed openings, closures of the strait, opening of the strait, final signature, theater, who is going to get the last threat. A lot of that is performance layered over desperation. America needs a channel into Iran, because if Iran stabilizes its position under Chinese cover with regional leverage like a strait of monopoly, then Washington's old ability to dictate the shape of Middle East starts shrinking very fast. So yes, I believe the accords still make sense in the logic, not because only one-sided, one only, or the other side totally surrendered. Not because of that. Because America needs a foothold in this region now. It has lost all the foothold. Pakistan is useful for that foothold until a durable arrangement emerges with Iran. And that will be the natural battlefield for China and America for their soft power to show. And the role Pakistan was targeting for so long that it could become a middle ground for China and America may go to Iran now. See, and that is the problem for Pakistan. When that happens, once America finds its way in the Iran, which it doesn't have right now, and once China deepens its own way in, which China will, then both great power will focus directly on Iran. Then this Pakistan's temporary centrality can shrink again, unless Pakistan uses this moment to build an identity, not just relevance. And that is where the real game opens up, bloc politics. That is where the opportunity lies too, and that is where we become importance as in our identity in terms of China and in terms of America. Because the post-war Middle East is not going back to the old shape. Smaller and medium players are already acting like they know the rearrangement is underway. I can clearly see the outlines of smaller interest-based formations. Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, maybe Egypt. And with Iran potentially coming closer, in one form or the another, you will see Iran will come back to this bloc. And then that bloc is connected to where? China. And then threat will arise for India. India has to choose whether it wants to continue with the Israel lobby or not, or the Israel mindset or the not. So Israel's whole ambitions are going down the gutter now. Well, we'll come to that. See, there will be other middle powers also arising, and that will be our opportunity cost. The Europe will start thinking more in a, security clusters, defense purposes, European NATO. We can exploit there if only we have stability. Arab monarchies will hedge more harder now. UAE already hedging towards, going to China, talking to Iran. Saudi Arabia has already hedged defense back to Pakistan. We may be going, maybe opening a channel through Pakistan to Iran. Turkey will keep maneuvering. Turkey, under the Erdogan, is very clear that Iran is coming to the bloc politics of UAE and of Turkey, Pakistan, Saudi and Egypt. Egypt, I highly doubt, as long as General Sisi is sitting there. Egypt, not trustworthy. And through all this, Pakistan has a chance to become something it has not allowed itself to become for years. Not a hired gun, not a rented corridor, not just a state useful because others are desperate, but the state that can anchor a bloc and extract a durable advantage and more leverage with China. But for that, one very, very painful thing is required. And the people in charge must stop confusing Pakistan can do it with I can do it. Those are not the same sentences. The first builds a state, the second builds a cult of self-importance and then collapses into wasting the whole opportunity. And now brings this back home because external story and the internal story are no longer separate now. If Pakistan is entering into a phase where its geography, its channels, its strategic location, its ties with China and Iran matter more than before, then the country cannot afford endless internal chaos built around the personal vendettas. This is where the domestic political angle becomes unavoidable. I have been saying for a while that if a door is opening, even slightly, between establishment and Imran Khan, then people should not be shocked. They should understand the compulsion. The compulsion is not generosity, it is not enlightenment, it is not suddenly the discovery of democracy, it is pressure, external pressure, internal fragility, economic limits, political fatigue, and the realization that you cannot stand in the center of changing region while running the country as a permanent revenge machine. That is why the silence inside PTI and the hints of movement around Bushra Bibi filing an application on the basis of health concern, softer signaling, the reduced appetite for open collision. After all of this points to possibility that some channel is opening, however reluctantly. Does that mean everything is solved? Of course not. Pakistan's internal puncture is still there. The government remains weak. The structure remains compromised. The appointments problems is still there. The appointment problem, the whole hierarchy has gone in the institution. The whole layer is missing. These things are there. The economy is still gasping, and the people who cannot think beyond the loans and IMF approval slips are still trying to manage a world historical opening as if it were the domestic arrangement. And that is why I am skeptical even while acknowledging whole opportunity and whole choices. Because Pakistan's history is bad on exactly this point. Whenever the state gains leverage, the ruler or the rulers of the Pakistan shrink it down into personal comfort, temporary relief and borrowed money. The choice in front of Pakistan is brutally simple. Will it choose cheap loans, flattery headlines, or will it choose direct investment, cheaper energy, new defense ties, strategic neutrality, and a more self-respecting posture? Will it remain stuck in the old petrodollar habits, or will it seriously rethink its energy relationships, including with Iran, once the environment allows it? Will it keep performing relevance or will it translate relevance into position? That is the test. There is another danger too. Israel and India are not going to forget this phase. Even if one is constrained today, Israel and India are constrained today, or isolated, I would say, both will carry the memory forward. Israel will remember that Pakistan helped create a space unfavorable to its maximal ambitions. India will have to confront the cost of staying emotionally trapped in pro-Israel posture while the region rearranges around them. So Pakistan cannot afford strategic naivety. It cannot assume today's usefulness become tomorrow's safety. That is precisely why I keep arguing for the neutrality with the spine, not neutrality with begging bowl. If Pakistan does not define itself, others will define it for their next round of conflict, as they always do. First India, then Afghanistan, then China, and now the Middle East. That is what the lens we will be seen again. And every time we act surprised that we being seen through someone else's lens is wrong. Look at what we are doing. So where do I land? I land here. The accords, if they happen, are not the end of the story. They are beginning of the Pakistan's real test, and the applause will come first. The peace prices nonsense will come first. The self-congratulations will come first. But after that haze fades, the real questions begin. Does Pakistan settle into a stronger, more neutral, more demanding posture? Does it open some internal space and lower the domestic temperature? Does it stop behaving like a client and start behaving like a state? Or does it waste this moment it has always wasted by treating geopolitical relevance as substitute for political maturity? Because that, in the end, is the real insight. Pakistan is finally entering a moment where the world may need it more than its rulers understand. And if, even now, the mindset remains small, borrowed, insecure, and personality-driven, then the failure will not be geopolitical. The opportunity is already there. The failure will be civilizational in the most embarrassing sense. A country standing at the hinge of a new order is still asking how many more crumbs it can collect before it learns to stand upright.